That was it, okay. I call the order. Y'all please rise and join me to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. You seated? Roll call.
Representing the American Legion, Mr. Pekowski. Here. Representing the American Legion, Mr. Giordan. Here. Representing the American Legion, Mr. Luigi. Representing the VFW, Ms. Coy. Here. Representing the VFW, Mr. Haskins.
Here.
Representing the VFW, Mr. Baumgardner.
Excused.
Representing the VFW, Mr. Dawson.
Here.
Approval of minutes, make a motion to accept a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
No. Somebody's got to make the motion.
I move to approve.
Second it.
All approve?
Aye.
Deny? Carried. Okay, old business. First up is choice of Grand Marshal for the 4th of the July Parade. See City Council amend for attachments.
It was submitted as a question to the last City Council meeting. My name is, by the way, is Randy Moyer. I am a member of the American Legion, Coast Guard veteran, early 70s, mid 70s. Joe had asked me to step in since he'll be leaving very shortly. And I consider it really an honor to do so. I love the veterans groups. I love working with them, and I'm looking forward to being your liaison between the city, and we'll talk later on, but thank you.
Welcome.
And here's his business card, too, for your reference. Everybody got one of these, so you've got his phone number.
Yeah, my cell number, I lived in Georgia for 13 years before moving here, and everybody knew me by that, so I've had it now for over 20 years, so I put that on the back. I do have more business cards here, but if you ever want to call me, please feel free anytime, cell or the office.
Very good. Thank you, Randy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, as far as the Grand Marshal for the parade, and we're hoping to find like the fairest way to decide which way or how the Grand Marshal was going to be picked. The Lions Club did turn the parade over to the city. What I talked with Joe, and we kind of came to, we thought the best thing, and I feel, Joe feels, I think some of the members here feel that, you know, the 4th of July parade is really a veterans parade. It is it's where we get the chance to, honor the veterans. And one of the ideas I wanted to float to you, and we still have time before the next meeting, is for the advisory board to come up with some names that they could basically then vote amongst yourselves. If there's any way you need a tiebreaker, you can pick whoever you want for that tiebreaker, but I think it's important that you are in agreement, or as close as possible to agreement, to come to the point where, there should be a veteran as a Grand Marshal, I would hope, and that we could move forward, and amongst yourselves we could pick that.
I 100% agree with you on that, Randy. Andrew Coy and Felix have talked. This is the Veterans Advisory Committee. This is mainly a veteran function. This committee here should, I'd say 80%, decide on the Grand Marshal, and along with the agreement with the city and everybody else. But I think the names really should more come from us than any of the other organizations, because like it is a military function, function.
I know many of you, or know of, and some know me, and it's I think I have 100% confidence that you're going to come up with a very good decision and a fair decision. And if the city, I'm anticipating, will continue to take on the parade responsibilities, and I'd like this to really be, if at all possible, a year-to-year thing where the advisory board could pick that.
If I may, Commander, I'd like to just add on to that. I agree. I was going to bring that up too if you hadn't suggested that. Because in retrospect, I go back with this parade now 14 years. Not one time has a veteran been chosen other than myself. And it wasn't as a veteran, it was by virtue of the fact that I think I was the mayor at the time. And I don't think that, I think it should be. We still have World War II vets and their spouses. Yeah. We have a Gold Star mom up here. I've just read about her in Hometown News.
Yes, there's a few Gold Star moms.
And we have a lot of people that we should be honoring at the front of the exact front. Right. But I think we ought to take it one step further. I would like this council to volunteer to do the whole beginning of the parade, to set it up for you guys so you don't have to worry about the veterans signing their forms, the release forms, inviting the appropriate groups to come participate, lining them up in the appropriate order. If the city would, if this council agrees and the city says okay, I think this council should take charge of that and say, here's our forms, we're good to go.
Mr. Coy, one of the directives we did get from the last council meeting was Mayor Hills mentioned the fact that he wanted staff to be involved, and I said, I'm fine with that. Could I just be a part of it with you? And that way, I'm not disobeying what the mayor wanted, and I could support what you're doing, and it could be an extra set of hands and eyes if you need me.
The only difficulty I see is that somewhere, because we have been down this road a bazillion times now, when we have to have it in writing that this is it. That's why that lineup was presented, the parade lineup. It has to be blessed, and the officer, whoever the police officer, the people in charge in the front there, need to know this is it, because you will have the sheriff's department arguing, no, we go up here. You will have this auxiliary wants to get in front of that auxiliary because yada, 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 and everybody is jockeying for position. The layout that this council has approved previously and passed on, if we can get in there, and I think we should be in charge of lining them up. What do you guys think?
That is okay, and Andrea. That is, so Randy's aware of this. That is one of the problems we've had. Now the people that've been there, they're all volunteers. But one of the biggest problems, and I've talked to several of the police officers, is nobody's ever had a lineup sheet. The police officer standing there. Well, Tom told me I could go over here, or Randy told me I could go over there. They have no knowledge. That's why we need a list of which group goes where, and then it needs to be enforced.
And we've provided, you have that list.
Yes, I do. Yes,
that we blessed from here. So if there's a way that you all, whatever committee or yourself, if you're the parade guru, if there's a way that you or council says, yes, let them set up the front, however you want to do it, just so long as when we walk in there, we go, here we are, and we're military, we dress right dress, we know how to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just there has to be a format, and for too long we have not been abiding by any format other than who gets there first and can scream the loudest or has the biggest vehicle.
Right. I understand. I don't have, like I said, I don't have any chance. I will get with the chief, starting on who with the police department's going to be in charge, or is going to be up in the front of the parade. We can have a list for them to enforce and move on from there. I think, and that would satisfy the city council or the mayor's request to have staff involved, police or considered staff also. So,
American Legion.
I have no objections to it. Organization is very important when you're doing an event like that, and I think it does make sense to, since it's a Veterans Parade, to have the veterans in the order that they would normally serve, because those are the ones who have served their country, and that's what it's about.
Right, you agree with the Grand Marshal also?
Yeah, I think so.
Grand Marshal, like we said before, should be a veteran. World War II. If it comes from American Legion, VFW,
Gold Star
have two
mothers,
rests.
we have some very, that we should recognize.
How many Grand Marshals do we need?
Just one.
Well, which one should we pick? A World War II
yes, we
veteran
can-
that's
We can meet, we'll
96
meet
years
and
old.
decide that, but I mean, yeah, but along with the council, we usually have a meeting before to finalize everything. When we get everything set up, we usually have a meeting with the town. Or at least I do.
But this board can make it easier for you as far as getting and so that everyone really understands this year, the city really wants us to sign those forms, the hold harmless forms. We have had people injured, and it's a protection. And now the commander can sign. You can sign for the auxiliary. You can sign for everybody that's under your post. So we don't need to have we don't have to have the Ladies Auxiliary or the Sons of the American Legion. You can sign for everybody and
Russ
just
can
have
sign for all his group. I
one
can
hold
sign for all.
harmless.
That's right.
We can get the Veterans Council to sign and the Sea Scouts if they're going to be towards the front too. But we've not done well with that at all. In fact, last year it was ugly, to say the least.
If I can get that to the police officer who's involved with the front of a parade, would that be okay?
Yes.
Something signed by the city, new city manager and myself, and we'll get them that, and this is the order it's going
As
to
they
go
line up,
to support what
you're
you do.
supposed to have that in your possession.
And we'll all be there, and we'll be there.
Right.
Everybody you see here will be there and say, here's our list, ladies and gentlemen, here's how we line up. And as long as everyone in the city, the police, whoever's there in the front of the line goes, yep, that's what was decided.
Well, I can get you that I can get you that sheet of paper signed. It'll depend on when the police department can get back to me and say who's going to be in charge of the parade, because that's the person I need to have it
Right.
in their hand and in their possession.
Exactly.
So as soon as I have that, I can send it out in email, regular mail, or the next meeting's in June. I could have it for you then.
And whatever other police officers are there helping with the coordination, anybody that's helping with the lineup needs to have a copy of that sheet, so nobody can say, well, Tom told me to be over here, but here's your list.
That's fair.
This is
That's
exactly
very-
the way we line up and
I think
go.
it's a great idea. That's fair.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be hard as long as we have it in writing somewhere. It won't be hard.
Well, we can get it in writing, and I can ask the new city manager to sign it. I'll sign it, and maybe even get someone from the police department. So it's, we got all our bases covered.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds great to me.
I have one other 4th of July request
Okay.
that I hadn't mentioned to anybody at all before. A couple of times I've had members of the Honor Guard, members of the public say, it's a shame that with all these beautiful American flags that they go and they pass out, that some of the kids aren't being taught, pick that up off the ground, hold it up, stand up when the flag goes by. And the Honor Guard especially has mentioned it, that they're a little disturbed when people don't, here comes the main flag, and we still have people who are sitting on their duff, healthy people that are capable of getting up. This is addressed to the board. The city has golf carts that they bring down for the council members and for other uses. If we could have a golf cart at the front, we could get someone to ride just in front, right before the Honor Guard takes off, with a reminder of etiquette and protocol. A recorded message, ladies and gentlemen, the flag of the United States of America is approaching. And we could handle it, but I think it'd be best if they brought the golf cart, because they have ones that work all the time.
Okay, yeah, no problem, yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I would think 10 minutes before, not right before the flag comes.
No,
It'll be, you know, in front, it'll be
Like
far enough
5
out
minutes
in front so
yeah.
it's not a distraction from the honor guard, you know. But
that's
as
fine.
to remind, in between the flags, actually, it could be right behind the guys that are passing out the flags. You know, they take off like 10 minutes before the parade. But as a reminder,
Where they hand out those little small flags all the way through there,
and we
they could
could
be
both
right behind
sponsor
that.
that. The Legion and the VFW can sponsor that advertisement. We can work up some kind of PA system and a recorded message, but it would be nice for a city golf cart.
Okay.
Wow, they're all being very agreeable. Is there anything else?
No, honestly, I think they're very good points you're bringing up, and you know,
I'd like to
I'm a
say-
veteran also. I believe in the same thing that you're believing in here now. I think they're good ideas.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit to that, if I might. In the past, the Honor Guard, Charlie Long, is long gone now, but was a very prominent member of the Honor Guard, always stood aside as they were marching and encouraging people, not only on the flag situation, but males not taking their hats off as the flag came by.
Yeah, the whole etiquette, right.
Yeah, the etiquette. Now, we do teach the etiquette in the Veterans in the Classroom programs, but you're right, it would be a good idea to have somebody.
Sure, it would encompass
notify 'em.
all of that. As the flag passes, please stand and remove your cap. Remove your cap. Salute the flag. Appropriate salute of the flag. All of that, and don't let your flag touch the ground. Yada yada yada.
I think that because it is very, it's very hurtful to, especially a lot of our veterans that are, some of them that just came home with PTSD issues and stuff, to see the disrespect of some, and 99% of the people really don't mean it disrespectful. They just don't think of it, and they just don't remember it. But if we have somebody in a car going ahead with like Andrew said, with a recorded message, and just reminding the people that the proper way is to turn on when your flag goes by, to stand and respect your flag.
Can I bring that to the next meeting then? The recorded message that we'll play for the
Yes.
board, and I'll have that for you. If we want to change it, we'll still have time to change anything.
Oh, that would
or
be great.
include anything.
That would
Okay.
be great. And we could have them mounted right on the golf cart, and who's ever driving that would just turn and take that. Would be right behind where they hand the small flags out, and that would give. I think that would be very helpful.
It might be helpful also in the publicity of the Veterans Day program to maybe get the newspapers to put a little something in about what respect is involved in a parade.
That was what I was going to make. One more suggestion. Yes, if we could get an article in the newspaper ahead of time to turn around and try to a little remembrance of etiquette to our flag with the newspapers. It's hard to get them to print anything for us when it comes to that. It's a shame, but it's hard to get the newspapers to put any kind of article where it can be seen.
Would it be all right if the newspaper isn't as successful? Could we put it on Channel 25?
Absolutely.
Oh yes, that would be great. That would be great. Yes.
Oh my goodness, of course.
Because I think if we did that, a lot of people, I mean, my family, we watch Channel 25 quite a bit, and if we could put it there and post it inside City Hall and
Yes, anywhere where it could be visited, yes, it would be great.
A lot of people don't get the newspaper, but they do get the Newsweek once a week. So
The hometown news one?
Yeah, the one that they throw out
you
there.
have to, people just don't buy the paper, so we have to put it somewhere where they will see it.
okay.
I think the hometown news would be a very appropriate publication because it is distributed locally, and that is what we're looking at is the people of Sebastian, mainly.
Right.
Okay. I will check into the hometown news to see if we can pull that off.
Very good. Anything, Butch, do you have anything on the 4th of July?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Andrea?
No, I overspoke. I've spoken on.
Okay, do we have public input?
Well, wait a minute. Oh, you're right.
We have one gentleman sitting back there. Did you have anything for us, sir? No? Okay. Well, I don't want to miss you. Okay, we have introduction of new city liaison, Sebastian liaison to the Veterans Board.
I guess I already kind of did that, so.
And that would be Randy.
Yeah.
Welcome once again.
There's the, did you
Yeah.
want to go over this
Yeah, well,
handout?
that's going to be the next item that's there, because one of the things, the relationship between the VFW, American Legion, and the city, and what I wanted to do, and I thought about this, and I watched the last meeting, and I wanted to throw it out there, even put notes on the bottom of it, like, a relationship is two-sided, and I'm not even sure at this point, just coming out of here, everything that the board expects from me or the city and so forth. So, I mean, that was just kind of a starter thing, saying what I think or what I know and what little I may know. Those are some items I wrote down as where I think the city should be supporting the Veterans Board. If there's more things, open discussion, but I really do believe the relationship should be two ways. I mean, it really should be two ways. And that's kind of why it's just kind of left in almost like a draft kind of thing to put together for everyone. And if there's something on there out of those 4 bullet points we can add, that was a starting point, what I wanted.
I think we've really been coming together between the city and our organizations, and the better we can cooperate with each other, and the more information we have to each other is vital. And I think it'll be another great year, and look forward to working with you and having you work with us.
And if you would like, if there's items you want to add, we could, I could make that up for the next meeting and actually get it, put into Laserfish or what kind of like an agreement, what we want to do, working with each other. Right.
Anytime, if while you're in the process of doing that, if you would like to reach out to Andrew, myself, or one of us, we'd be glad to come and sit down and meet with you and maybe together, turn around and put it together.
I would appreciate that, because I'm only coming from it again from one side.
I think from the other side, you're right, because it's a two-way street. Mm-hmm. And I think where I have seen the city be extraordinarily accommodating with $50,000 for the sewer project, which was way over what everybody else got. And I think maybe there's stuff that we can do in our organizations, the Legion and the VFW, to help make our veterans aware of how much you do, because you really, it bothers me when I hear the few folks who tend to open their mouth and go, well, how come the city's not doing that? And cranky, and they should, and not realizing how much we do work together and how much you do. So I think for our commanders, that periodic reminders at the meetings,
which I do,
on how much the city is doing, and will say, nod their head in an up and down instead of a sideways direction when we need or ask for something. So.
Right. And I like I said, any way I could even assist with that, I would want to, but I know within the community development department, and Margaret's here with me now, between Dory and Lisa, it's a very giving department. They really want to do the right thing for the city and for the veterans, and I think that'll work well. I really do. I wouldn't be saying that if I didn't.
Yep, I believe so. I believe so too.
You would certainly have the approval of the American Legion, because we have worked, the Legion specifically has worked closely with our past manager, city manager, himself being a veteran and you being a veteran on it, so that you can count on our cooperation on anything that you need in that area.
Can you speak up, please? I didn't hear a word.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have it on. Did you hear me all right? What I said basically is you can count on the cooperation of the American Legion to the city on any events and any other events that the city feels like they want cooperation on. American Legion, and I know the VFW too, I'm a member of both posts, has worked closely in the past with the past city manager because he himself is a veteran as you are, sir, on it. And so I think you would find the cooperation from the Legion and the VFW to be there, and it already has been there, because this is a really veterans community.
Yes, it
on
is.
Having
Yes, it
come from a bigger city and been around a lot of the parts of the United States, I think this is a very wonderful place for veterans and police officers, retired and firemen, etc.
Okay, I agree. Thank you.
Okay, Veterans Outreach Program.
There was a booklet that we got, it's there, and it's part of the outreach program and all the Veterans Resource Services, which I put on each one of you to review. Also was able to obtain a copy. We made the copies of this flyer, which is a very short version of it. There's more in the back of the room. We can certainly make more of them.
Alrighty.
I did read through the booklet, and I think it's very informative. So if you get a chance to look through it and read it, I think you will be pleased with it.
Right. And that's good. The more information that's out there, the better off everybody is, the city and all the veterans. So we'll gladly look through it and appreciate your concern on that.
And if you even want future meetings, I mean, we're only meeting every 2 months. Mostly it's like I can just look for an update before the meeting if there's anything new coming out from the Veterans Administration on the outreach program.
I've been to that Veterans Court here, and the court, it's phenomenal. And they always need more mentors for the program. It's a really good program here in Indian River County.
Okay.
It's Judge Cox.
I know of Judge Cox.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
There's a lot of good points of reference right here that I'm just looking at right now that be very, very helpful to a lot of our veterans. I believe it'd be June that Robert takes over at June 1st. June 1st. Is that still on track?
Well, as far as I know, they are.
Takes over the,
VA service officer.
The service officer over to.
right. It's still not open.
He's open Thursdays and Fridays. While he's in training, the bureau training, I believe,
June 1st, he's supposed to open like Rebecca was.
yeah, then he'll be open 5 days a week. There we go, I'm sorry. Also, when is the DAV gonna be here? Does anybody know? I heard that they were gonna have an office here.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it was stated a couple meetings ago that we were gonna, DAV, there was gonna be room for them here at City Hall.
Right, because they have their own office upstairs.
They're gonna have their own office.
They are here, I think.
I thought they were here. Yeah, that's what
I thought it was
just
supposed to start April 1st.
I will have to check. I'm not really aware of that.
You know
no.
who, Jean Tarbell has
Oh,
all
it's
of that information.
Okay.
Okay, member matters. I believe we took care of most of the 4th of July. What did we have under the old?
I've got one thing.
Andrea?
Okay. I was just waiting for my turn, that's all. Good news, we have made it through step 1. I believe in the packet, y'all were provided with the letter that Commander Haskins sent for a request for, we sent for a request for a tank, or a request for a piece of equipment. We have made it through step 1. I'll just quickly read and I'll give you a copy. I'll go make a copy of this letter. It's dated March 22nd. It's from the VFW headquarters, which is where it has to go through. Addressed to TACOM Life Cycle Management Command. That's where all the equipment is at. Dear Commander, enclosed is a request from Sebastian, Area Post 10210, Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, located in Sebastian, Florida, for the issuance of military equipment for display purposes. Our records indicate that the post instituted on March 28, 1971, as a chartered unit of the Veterans of Foreign War in good standing, and we are pleased to grant our approval to the request. Please send information to, and then the commander and myself are the listed points of contact. So it's through step one. We have been verified as a legitimate place. The VFW has been verified as a legitimate place for a piece of equipment. That took about 30 days, so I'm hoping in 30 more days we should get the letter, the application packet with a list of what's available. They tell us what's available, if anything is out there, and how to get it and how much it costs. Are you guys going to do one? Are you going to send a letter?
No, we leave it. I've read your letter, and I'm familiar with what you're doing, and before we leave it with you, to do it, the American Legion commander, I believe, said we don't have the...
We could not afford it at this time.
So the Legion's not going to do it?
No.
How do you know how much it costs?
Whatever, with the insurance and everything else, the upkeep, we're trying to improve. We just don't have the money.
Let me update, Randy's new, let me update Randy. What we're trying to do, what originally started with an idea was the city get a tank or a howitzer or whatever down to the park. Have you ever, I don't know if you've ever been through Okeechobee?
I saw that from the last meeting, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It originally
Been a long day
started with the city, a recommendation to the city, and I'm glad that our post in VFW has taken it up for it, because I did have some meeting with the city people, and it was a little controversial. So I'm glad that you all are taking that up.
Well, would really.
Who's it controversial to?
I'd rather not discuss that.
Well, it would really be nice if you're
Then let's
coming
not
down
bring it up.
512, if you had it like something sitting there, and then going back the other way on the American Legion side. That was my vision of it. That was my vision of it. I think it would look so nice. It was and show so much respect to our veterans to have something sitting there. I'm going on both ways, but I'm gonna still pursue this. And see what the cost and everything is going to be.
Commander.
Yes, ma'am.
The next one. Put in for it. You're not committing to it. Maybe we can get a grant, and it won't cost you anything. You don't want, you wouldn't want, you are not committing to anything. You're just getting
Information.
Put in the queue if there's stuff available, and then you make a decision.
That's fine, but I don't want to put the post in any financial jeopardy.
You're not obligating anything.
Wait. When you have this on your property, do you have to have insurance? Somebody sits on it, falls off it. You have to pay insurance on it, correct?
Don't you have insurance on your liability insurance?
Yeah, but how much more are we going to need when people come up and start? I looked at what's going on down the park. Kids are walking on the monuments during the holidays. If they fall off, the city's going to be sued. Correct?
In 14 years, I can't remember one time anyone suing over falling off a monument or anything by our memorial. We have older folks tripping on sidewalks, which can happen on your property just as well. That's like the most common things. People will trip over a crack in the sidewalk and that kind of thing. But that can happen walking in your door.
I have no problem until we could put it in. Until they say it's going to cost you this. We are not.
You're not obligated. You're not obligated.
We could.
But if you have, Russ, if you have it submitted, we find out what the cost is going to be. There's nothing that says you have to turn around and file it. All we're doing is trying to get an idea of, and see what it's gonna, now we might have to reject it ourselves. It might be too costly ourselves.
Yeah, plus I know just from former life, I did work in transportation, and, you know, depending on what we're mobilizing, there could be a significant difference in cost between what equipment we are mobilizing. So-
Right, I mean, you know.
We have some connections in the transportation department.
I have one of my members that his uncle handles, is a shipper. But now they might require us to use their shipping outfit. So these are all things that we need to find out. And once we find out, but if it's something that you could handle or have a function to turn around and raise the money to do this, if you have that in line, you could proceed with it. If it's not in line, you can't proceed with it.
May I say a little bit on that? I've done some research and I've talked with the museum up in Merritt Island. Even though you received the article that they're going to be presented, it is still property of the United States government or Army. And you are responsible for its maintenance, and you are responsible for any liabilities that come. Now, if you subcontract your liabilities another way with hold harmless agreements, that's, you know, a matter between the organizations on it. As to the cost of it, it just depends where the item is. Now, I was told a story about one, they got it through, I believe it's Michigan, but the item that they wanted was in Texas, so it was a lot cheaper. They were able to go over in Texas and pick it up. Exactly. That is only determined when you determine, you know, where the item is on it. But you still do have a responsibilities back to the original organization, Army, Navy, or whatever it is that you've gone through the process.
Right. Well, just like our M1 Grands that we use for our funerals, those two belong to the government. We have to maintain them. If it's a tag sitting there, you just have to make sure it's painted, it's taken care of. It would have to be put on a slab. So that's, you know, it's all. But unless we send for the information and find out exactly what's available and what the cost is, why not send that information and get the request in, so then if we could figure out a way to make it feasible, then we could proceed with it on your end. I mean, I'm going to do the best I can to make it on our end, but I would love to see one on each end.
I would help the American Legion get a grant, just like I would help the VFW get a grant.
You are correct, though, that
unless you don't want to have it on the property.
You do not have an obligation, and you can go through the process. I agree with you on that.
You don't have to turn around and...
No. You have a good time, and they have a time to say whether they don't want to give it to you.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're correct.
I have no problem having a monument, memorial, anything. But I'm just thinking of the post. When it comes to finances, we are not the VFW. We're trying to get there, but we do not have.
If I had all
I'd
the
help
money,
you
I'd
get the
burn
money.
mine.
I'll help go for a grant, and if I get one, I'll get it for both. I get that part, but you got to say, yeah, we want to have it, and I'll help find the money.
Well,
we could put on some functions. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do.
I'll even
we
write the
have to
letter
file
for
the
your
paperwork.
signature.
Yeah.
You give me a piece of
It has to be
letterhead.
done through the American Legion process, just as you have to go through the VFW process. It goes to Washington, and in this case, I believe it goes to Kansas City.
Give her a letterhead and she'll
Give me a
send you
piece of
I've seen
letterhead
the
and I'll type up the letter. To the right address. I'll give it to you for your signature.
Yeah, I've seen your letter. That's up to the post.
you.
There's a post executive committee and the commander.
Right.
Yeah, I'll type it for your signature, and I'll bring it over for you to sign it and mail it.
The commanders in the past wanted a museum. First it was going to be put on city property. Then it was going to be somewhere else. Then I don't want to start anything and keep it going and going. If we're going to do something, we can afford it, fine. But if we can't at this time, I don't want to start a project.
No, I get that, and I would help you find grants to accommodate. And the VFW would need the grants too, but And for maintenance, it's a paint job now and then. You don't start, these things aren't workable. They're not running pieces of equipment. They don't go anywhere. So it's just keeping it painted and looking decent occasionally. And once a year, signing a piece of paper, sending it back, like you do with your rifles. You have to sign a paper saying they're all here, they're in good working condition, and you send it off, and you're good to go for another year. It's the same thing that you do for this. I'll type up the letter, and you can say no. When you get approved and they send you a list, then you can say, no.
Yeah, you're just not interested, that's all. So it's just,
That's fine with me, Marty.
all right.
It's up to the
let's move
executive
on.
board. You know.
Do we have anything else under Butch, Mr. Dawson?
I do. I'd
okay.
like to announce, bring you up to date on the Veterans in the Classroom program. I've been working closely with Mr. Randell, and we had already sent out to all the schools the brochures on the program. But now that the school break is ending, I just spoke to Mr. Rendell's office today. We are hopeful that the Americanism program, as well as the Memorial Day program, which has never been a problem, is to be implemented early in the classes, because what we have found in the past is that at the last moment, all the schools start calling for the program, and you've already got dates filled up with other. You only have about a week on Memorial Day to go ahead on the programs. So we are working on that to get the program, and I want to say that we also are going to have an honoring the program. The Exchange Club of Vero Beach is giving a presentation on behalf of their organization for our program on it. And incidentally, Sebastian should be proud, because the program initiated here in Sebastian in the elementary and middle schools of Sebastian, which gave us the great support, and then it extended out to the rest of the county on it.
Thank you.
One question. Memorial Day.
Well, wait, we'll get, okay.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second here. Now, this Thursday, at the high school, they have the scholarship programs. Our VFW, once every year, we give a $3,000 scholarship out. This year's winner for first place is Alicia Wiles, ALLISHA WILES, and she'll be presented with a certificate on Thursday. And the way we work that is when she gets accredited to her college, she will receive, for the first year, she will receive $1,500. That year, she has to keep her grades at a minimum. I believe we require a B, don't we, Bo, Mr. Dawson? A B. 3.5 average, and for the beginning of her next semester, we give her another $1,500, which instead of just handing them $3,000, and this way here, they're required to show us that they are continuing, and it's for the last few years we've been doing it. It's a great program, and I'd just like to bring that to your attention.
I'm sure they appreciate it too.
Yeah, John, on that, they have to, on the second year, they got to bring their enrollment with all their classes to show that they did enroll, and they
Right.
bring their grade average.
Yes, they
Okay.
have to for the second. Yes, they they maintain that average for their second half of the money.
American Legion is giving 5 grants, 500 apiece. Not quite like the VFW, but like I said, their pockets are deeper.
I wish that was true.
We're only doing 2,500, 5 apiece. That's it.
Great. Thank you.
That's it.
I'm sure every penny counts, believe me. I got children just paying off student loans before they become a retirement age, I guess. So,
Well, now this coming year, not sure how this is going to, but some of this might change because as of now, as you're probably aware that they did disband the VFW in Vero Beach,
Yes,
and
I
they
was
put them
aware.
under our jurisdiction. So I believe we're going to have to turn around and pick up the rest of Indian River County. And so that's, so not sure how we're going to work that yet, but that's going to come under discussion at our meeting. Because you have Vero Beach High School and Sebastian High School, which we're taking care of Sebastian.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, yes, Andrea. She's going to be my new senior vice, too.
Andrea, we gotta do
And that's her
charter
project.
schools and all the high schools.
But so that's going to be something that we're going to have to work very hard on, and we might have to do some fundraisers or whatever. But I'm not sure how we're going to work that yet. But we are taking into advisement how we're going to try to work that, because I don't believe anybody out in Vero is doing a scholarship program through the. I don't know if the American Legion in Vero Beach is doing a scholarship program.
I have
Yes, they
no
do.
idea.
They do.
I'm not sure what the
36,000.
VFW did, but if they did have a scholarship program, which they should have,
Right.
so I've got to try to turn around and see what we can incorporate that into to try, because we don't want to lose the kids.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, the American Legion down in 36, I believe it is, in Vero Beach, it just was in the paper about a scholarship that they presented.
Okay, but we want to make sure that we do our part anyways. Okay, on other matters, Russell.
Memorial Day. What's going on?
Your ball.
It's my first year. What are we having? I mean, the honor guard, are we having a parade or what?
No, there's no. It's just the service at the park.
That's
I'll
all.
get with you and have you coordinate it. And
That's important for the city to know, is that
Yes.
this is where the transition happens. Now, this past year, the VFW was in charge of all the ceremonies, was the main lead, and now the transition turns over, though we work together and work as a team to do it, but now the main responsibility will be for the Legion to take the reins
Is that-
and
is that-
coordinate with you.
Okay, Ms. Quiz, that is something that changes every couple of years? Or?
Every year.
Every year.
Every year.
We do it this year. They do it next year. It starts for Memorial Day.
Okay.
Now Russ will take the lead, and although we're still working together, but it's his responsibility to get the guest speakers, to line up with the city,
Right.
and all that.
Make the program.
The program, doing the programs and all that. It's and she will get with you, and I'll get with
Yeah,
you.
well,
And
you know,
Andrew will help
support
too.
that.
Russ. Andrew will help with that too.
You all know where to find me now, so it's on it.
That's why I asked you to bring your card.
Well, like I said, normally it's my personal phone. I put the cell on the back, but I just wanted you to have that available because sometimes I'm out working on different projects, or even nighttime, weekend, something happens or something's important. Please feel free to call me.
Right.
That'd be fun.
And with mentioning Memorial Day now, it seems like it's a long ways off, but we know how that works, don't we?
Can we talk one more time about Veterans Day? This is now in your bailiwick. I withdraw my, I have something else to do that day. So you lost that opportunity because I volunteered to go somewhere else to do something special. However, I might be able to help you if you change the date, like they did in Vero Beach. Vero Beach is I believe, doing their ceremony on Saturday.
That's for Veterans Day.
Veterans Day, correct.
Yes.
And if you do it on Sunday, which it's on a Sunday, 11/11 at 11 on Sunday, they've never done it during church. They've always at least rescheduled it to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. However, it's not that well attended.
No, it's not. And the thing is, and that's where it'll have to be decided at post level. The thing is, the churches, if we have it in the morning when it's supposed to, the churches raise holy heck with us because of interfering with church. But 9/11 should be at the actual time. But people have to realize and understand that there are other factors that we have to take into effect.
Sure.
But 9/11, that's
Well,
the
now-
police force and the fire department taking over. Last year, we backed out. They're
Right, the
gonna,
police department's got 9/11.
The police department has a 9/11.
Yep.
Now, Michelle took that over
Yep.
personally. So we have to turn around and get with her to see what she actually wants to do with that. Because last year, the fire department just kind of left us hanging. They didn't want to do, and it's their day.
Right.
Well, it's the police department's day too.
Yeah, it's police department, but I mean, but the main thing, it was the fire, it was,
Sure, the first responders, sure.
yeah, the first responders, and they just left us hanging. And the chief of police, Michelle, I'll tell you what,
They were busy buying tires.
she jumped up and took control, and I tell you what, and she did it, I tell you what, and we worked hand in hand, we worked together, and I tell you what, it was very successful, and I really appreciated her, and she said right down on the spot that she will take 9/11, the police department will take 9/11 over
Okay,
now.
but anyway, just if you guys would think about Veterans Day, it's not too early to decide, for the city's sake too, to know what day.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Memorial Island's doing it the day before. Not sure that's what you all want to do, doesn't matter, but
I think we have moved Veterans Day to the following day or the day before.
don't go to the Monday, that's bad, because then go
No, 'cause
Saturday
you've
when
lost
the
the schools
school's
and
out,
everything
so the
else,
kids
yes.
can come.
But we need to, you need to really address that real quick, because that's something that we should be thinking about right now.
One of the problems on Veterans Day, I've been involved in it before, and I've also been involved with the problem that you're talking about, is whether the schools kids are off too. Sometimes they are, in this county, have been allowed to be off. Other times it's been passed over. So that helps a lot to encourage the school administration to give the kids off on Veterans Day.
Right. Now, if the school's gonna let the kids out on Veterans Day, so you have the band and everything else, the Monday I'm talking about, the Monday, that's one thing, but if not, possibly turn and move it to the day before.
No, they're not, it's not in the schedule, so there's no way you're going to be even able to get that approved. The school is going to say no.
Right.
They plan that out a year in advance, so, I mean, that's not even an option.
so the best thing is to move it a day before.
If you're going to move the day,
That's
yes.
the day it will
Or-
solve everybody's problems.
Or 1 o'clock after church. Those are kind of your two best options. Monday would not be good.
Monday's out.
I think that's a bad choice.
Yeah, I think it's a bad choice too, but.
Yeah, I agree. I think that putting it at 1 o'clock after most church services are over with is proper, because we are talking about those that gave their lives for our country, and that fits in too with the religious aspects that go on during that day. So I would think it would be wise to have it at 1 or 2 o'clock, depending upon
Right,
the
but as
planning.
soon as you decide that, you need to let the city know, so the city's aware of what time.
I'd say
it's
1
gonna
o'clock.
transpire.
Let church come out. The people are,
Check with your thing, and then I wouldn't make a decision. I'd check with your membership of your people first. Yeah, check with your committee first, and then make sure and go from there.
Many of the times when I went to church, especially for Veterans Day, the churches I belonged to, they would even encourage the congregation, like when Veterans Day was, and on occasion it did fall on a Sunday, they would be basically, please go out and support, the city and the veterans. And so I think whatever we decide, but if you do it on Veterans Day at 1 o'clock, I would even think we could get the churches to support you and say something in their announcements.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure they would, and I'm sure the churches would cooperate. I know the churches I goes to would. Our pastor's a veteran.
All right, do we have any other matters? Anybody?
Nope.
Anybody?
Can I just say one thing? I'm looking forward to working with you as a team, and I think we're going to have a good year thank you for welcoming me. Appreciate it.
At one of these meetings, I would give you an invite to come down to our post-meeting, which is the first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock, and come down, and just before our meeting, come down and let me introduce you to our membership and let you know what kind of a rat race we run down there. It's like a kindergarten class.
That's all right. I will make the next meeting.
But yeah, I'll get with you, and one day I'd like you to turn and come down, and so I can introduce you to our people, and they know who you are, and you can meet some of our people, know who they are.
Sure, that would be great. And I'd also, if there is anything you want to add to the relationship that we could even bring up there, if anyone had any questions between
Exactly,
the
yes.
organizations, I would appreciate that, because this was just the first draft of what I thought of, and whatever your input is, it would be greatly appreciated.
Right, and we greatly appreciate you taking the time to do what you're doing, Randy, and really appreciate it.
As the almost senior vice commander, I want to invite Margarita too. She's
Margaret, yes, I would
yes.
love to have Margarita come.
Thank you, Commander.
See, well, that's why I'm putting you in that position, so you can remind me of everything. Just think, if you get that position and then I have to resign, just think you could be the
remember,
commander.
I've been there, done that. I've been down this road before. I know what I'm getting into. I know.
Okay, well, I guess that will wind it up for another session, and in 2 months we'll do this all over again.
Got it.
And we will get with you, and I'll help him get a little bit establish what he's doing, and we'll make sure that we're all on the same page.
Great. All right.
Put a copy of that letter in your box by your office.
Okay.
Probably by tomorrow.
Great.
All you got to do is provide the stamp.
Okie dokie.
We could do that.
Hit the gavel.